UFC Atlanta recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. We saw a vintage Kamaru Usman in the main event, even a little bit of a Thug Rose throwback with the clean punch that dropped Maverick. We'll talk about all the fights. We'll go in depth about everything. First fight of the night, all the way up to the main event. So let's jump right into things. First fight on the card was the ladies, and we saw Jamie Lynn Horth beat up Vanessa Demopoulos for 3 rounds. I mean, give Demopoulos credit. She was getting hurt with big shots in the first, and then she still survived the full three. But yeah, it was a one-sided ass whooping. 101 significant strikes to 36. Demop was trying to throw these big power shots, but Horth ultimately too big. Too big. Different weight classes. Listen, respect the Demop not quitting on herself. She deserves another fight in the UFC. I hope they don't release her after this one because she jumped in on short notice, up in weight in probably the worst circumstance possible against a Jamie Lynn Horth, who had a fairly competitive fight with Miranda Maverick in her fight prior, and just is a full-fledged women's flyweight. She's shredded with abs, and she's way taller than Demop. Demop was chubby at 125. She's a damn women's strawweight. Get her back down to 115. Give her another fight. She deserves it. Demop always brings entertainment, doing the splits at weigh-ins, normally in good fights, tough as they come, taking a beat. And this is one of those fights where I felt bad because I'm like, this matchup never made any sense. Obviously, Demop's getting paid for this shit, and it's her job. But I think it was just a mistake to take this fight because it seemed like a certified L for sure beforehand, and ended up coming to fruition as well as the much smaller Vanessa Demopoulos just got bodied by the 5'7" Jamie Lynn Horth, who really could fight at 135, and Demop definitely could not. So good win for Horth. She handled business pretty. I want to say it was pretty easily. She beat up Vanessa Demopoulos pretty bad. One-way traffic, ass whooping, strikes on the feet, getting it to the ground and bullying her. There was levels to this shit. And Jamie Lynn Horth, a lot larger, gets it done. Dominant. Next fight. This fight made my night. All right. It was the savage underdog lock, Phil Rowe. And he could not stop the takedown early. All right. Early in the fight, round number one, had me shitting myself. Ange Loosa gets him down. Rowe can't do anything from bottom position. He's pinned to the mat. Loosa looked like he had crazy top pressure and control, kind of like that Usman strength that we saw later. We'll talk about it when we get to the main event. On the side of Phil Rowe, it was no quit. Round number two, Phil Rowe defends a little bit of the takedown, starts coming on strong, starts landing big punches, has Ange Loosa kind of on wobbly legs, but then engaging in a back and forth brawl. He gets caught with a big shot. And then Ange Loosa has Rowe badly hurt. Rowe's trying to shoot. Loosa ends up on top of him, beating him up with ground and pound, ends up stealing the round, having Rowe nearly out in round two. So he's down 2-0. He's down 2-0, no doubt about it, come round three. And it was a comeback from the depths of hell, really, in this matchup. Phil Rowe able to stop the takedowns come round three. The boxing's looking pretty sharp, and Losa's tired. Very muscle bound. He slowed down substantially in that third and final round. Rowe's landed multiple shots, several big punches up against the cage, and just keeps swinging on Ange Loosa as Losa's mouthpiece had fallen out too. And eventually, big punches in close, crumble Ange Loosa, and Phil Rowe ends up getting a badass comeback knockout with less than a minute left in the fight. The savage underdog lock. And I said third round is very live because Losa's going to slow down, and the late KO was on my mind. And Phil Rowe lived up to it. I knew that Neil Magny performance wasn't one to write off because he gave Magny, a gritty OG, a damn tough fight and went to a split decision. Struggled early in this matchup, but as he started getting his footing and getting comfortable, his boxing was looking pretty sharp. And he gave Ange Loosa a finish loss, a one-sided beating. He did what Gabriel Bonfim, who's a hot prospect, couldn't do. He finished off Ange Loosa. I think Phil Rowe deserves a lot of respect for this, and I do too, because I called that savage underdog lock all week, and I'm grateful because the odds got wider come fight day. I was shocked by that. I thought the face-offs would tell you, okay, Rowe bigger. He's got a good chance to box well with Loosa. Ultimately, he did. Not without trouble in the first 2 rounds. Losa's a physical specimen. But in round number 3, he had more steam, and his boxing advantage really showed itself late in the fight, and he pulls off a scintillating comeback KO that had me going crazy on the live stream and losing the hat. Had me almost losing my voice fight number 2 on the damn live stream. I'm glad I'm still talking now. Phil Rowe made my day. Phil Rowe put a smile on my face. If I don't seem too jumpity, uppity, and excited, it's because it's 4 in the morning at the time I'm recording this video. But I am. Internally, I'm feeling my woo, you know? I'm still reacting like we're on the freaking live stream. Phil Rowe looked really great, and I was impressed by his boxing late. Struggled early with the wrestling, and I'll worry about him as he takes on wrestlers, but I don't need to. Tonight's a night to celebrate. Phil Rowe, Savage Dog coming through and just making us winners early in the night. Next fight on the card, Ricky Simón over Cameron Smotherman. This was another one that, there was a big winner in because that over 2.5 was a plus money call. And I said, fuck it, I think it's going distance. And Ricky Simón wrestled up Cameron Smotherman for 3 rounds. To be fair, round 3, Smotherman was doing well, throwing good punches, landed on Ricky Simón, made it a much harder fight. And I thought that he could have done enough to steal that 3rd round, but still 2 of the 3 judges are giving it to Ricky Simón on 30-27. But round 1, round 2, it was grapple fucking, it was pressure, it was relentlessness, and it was just a level difference. The positional knowledge, the shape that Ricky Simón's in, it was just way too much for Cameron Smotherman. I guess there was like a moment where Ricky Simón had Cameron Smotherman pressed up against the cage, and Simón says to him, "You're under arrest," and then Smotherman called him a racist. I think that's hilarious. Simón mentioned it at the damn post-fight press conference. Ricky Simón's the man. He deserves respect. I got to get him on the live stream. That's what I'm thinking with him. Dude's been in the UFC a very long time. He's got a win over Merab Dvalishvili, and he's a relentless wrestler. He landed 3 takedowns here, got a lot of control time. Boxing, always looking, pretty decent, right? In a close range and an ability to brawl. Smotherman looked athletic late and had a couple moments, but there was no like near fight ending shots or anything of that magnitude. Whereas Simón nearly got that straight arm bar in round 1. I gotta say, relentless Ricky Simón, there's only one fight. It's the Charles Jourdain fight. Just rebook that. The UFC doesn't have to scramble and hunt. The UFC doesn't have to go on a look, all right? He just beat Cameron Smotherman. This doesn't move him up the ranks at all. Smotherman's 1-1 now, 1-2 in the UFC. He's a prospect. But I think the Jourdain fight is still really entertaining, really interesting, and a matchup that I got to see. I hope the UFC puts that together. I hope Jourdain's eye heals up quick, and maybe we can do it in the next couple months if Simón comes out of this fight unscathed. I think he did, and he'll be ready to get back in there. I'd love to see him versus Charles Jourdain in a striker versus grappler fight again for him. And Ricky Simón's relentless wrestling is a problem. I'm looking forward to seeing that fight happen. I thought Jourdain would have had a chance after this one. I still think he does, to be honest with you, because I think his grappling defense is better than Cameron Smotherman's, and his striking offense more explosive, more efficient, more powerful. I think he's still alive to pull through. But nonetheless, relentless Ricky Simón does his thing with the strong wrestling and key moments of control and winning the fight. Next fight, Jose Ochoa and Cody Durden. Dog fight round number 1. Dog fight round 1. Durden, aggressive with the wrestling in the first round a little bit. Landed a couple takedowns, hit 2 of them. Not any significant control time. Ochoa did a good job of getting back up to his feet and scrambling well from bottom position. In the striking, they were engaging in a bit of a back and forth banger. And Ochoa was looking sharper, and he seemed to have Cody Durden hurt on a few instances in round number 1. And then they start engaging in this back and forth brawl, and Durden actually caught him with a big shot and ended up getting on top. Durden, I got to tell you, man, late round 1, savage come through, landed the big punch after he was getting tuned up on the feet. Durden had Ochoa feeling it, but Ochoa's recovery on point. Ochoa is a special talent. I think he's got a really bright future in the UFC flyweight division. Early, right in the first moment, round number 3, and the fight is wrapped. The hook lands for Ochoa. I believe it was a hook. Top my dome. I think it's a hook. He has Durden rock bad, and then ultimately, it might have been an uppercut. Uppercut or hook. I'm trying to see. I'm seeing it in my head. Is it uppercut? Did he catch him with that left uppercut? I have to go back and rewatch. Off the top of my dome, it's like a little blurry. It's 4 a.m., man. Give me an excuse, all right? And then he hits him with a huge left as they're pressed up against the cage. Durden goes completely down, out as ground and pound shots are going. His eyes are rolling back in his head and shit. Jose Ochoa with a quick knockout come round number 2. It was a scintillating KO that I think sends him way up the division. Like, flyweight's got somebody to watch, man. He just beat Cody Durden. Durden's no slouch in this division. Yeah, he lost to Bruno Silva. Yeah, he lost to Joshua Van. But Cody Durden is legit in this UFC flyweight class. And I think that a win here for Ochoa as a prospect is massive. Now, the problem is, right, you can't rush him too far up the ranks. You can't give him too much of a jump up. Is it wild to match him up with somebody like Kevin Borjas? because I kind of like that matchup. Borjas coming off the big upset win over Ronaldo Rodriguez, but he did have 2 losses in the UFC to Van and Costa. I think that's an interesting fight. I know he's 1-2 in the UFC, and Durden's got a way bigger, name than Borjas. But Ochoa versus Kevin Borjas is still an interesting matchup, and I feel like he's not getting a crazy jump. I don't think they're matching him up against somebody like, towards the rankings. Andre Lima, Felipe Bunez winner. I don't think they do that. I'd be surprised if they rush him, right? Ochoa is still relatively young. And I think with a guy like him who's, in his 20s, was he 24 years of age? He's super young. He's 24 years of age. I think a fight against Borjas makes more sense. And it's, still a high level comp. I get it. The name value, oh, it's a drop in comp, but it goes from Kavanaugh to Durden, which is a step up as far as, UFC experience and recognition. Then maybe a Borjas, or if they want to do something with a veteran, you go in Ode Osborne, something like that. But I definitely think Jose Ochoa has some exciting fights in the forthcoming months for him. Quick KO here in round number 2. I feel like he could turn around kind of fast, and he's definitely one to watch in this UFC flyweight division. I'm impressed as hell. Big W for Jose Ochoa. He's a good talent, and shows also how good Kavanaugh is as a prospect as well. Next fight on the card. Let's keep moving up. We had the quick KO. Malcolm Wellmaker drops Kris Moutinho with a gnarly hook. Just his God-given gift of power. Expected result in this fight for the KO round number 1. Moutinho was getting cracked a bit early, but he was tough and he was, able to stay on his feet for the first, 2 minutes of the fucking fight and try and tie up with Wellmaker a bit, but there was nothing there for him. Landed a couple leg kicks. I guess we can give him credit on that. Looked a lot slower on the feet. Had a hard time dealing with the hand speed, timing of Wellmaker the entire fight. And ultimately gets violently dropped, chinned, and knocked out in the first round. A little more than half a round in. I mean, shit. I'm thinking about Kris Moutinho, and I'm like, dude, 0-3 in the UFC. Violent loss here. Man, his UFC career just, has never looked good. Off rip, it didn't look good. But I do think they keep him around. I think you give him another fight for stepping in to take on a Malcolm Wellmaker, who he probably shouldn't have been fighting against. This kid's a prospect with talent. I get at least 31, but I feel like he can compete with the likes of Adrian Yanez right now. And Adrian Yanez is legit. Let me tell you this, though. Bantamweight, so stacked. I don't know the direction you go with Malcolm Wellmaker. I actually have no idea what the UFC is going to end up deciding. I look forward to finding out the direction that they go, but I don't know. Another prospect fight? Do you give him like Siri City, who's on a 2-fight win streak? Do they give him like, Cody Garbrandt type of name and really look to build him? I have no idea. Yeah, I think the UFC with a 31-year-old prospect is in a weird spot because you don't want to rush him too fast with only 10 fights. But he does seem to have the striking at the least to deal with anybody in the world. Like, I'm not saying he's going to go beat Marab or anything like that, but I definitely think striking-wise, Malcolm Wellmaker can box with anybody in the UFC bantamweight division. And I look forward to seeing Malcolm Wellmaker in some more big spots. Timing is unreal. He's a natural athlete. And on the opposite side, Kris Moutinho was just, a journeyman outclassed, violently knocked out early in the fight. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Next fight, Michael Chiesa, Court McGee. Kind of a back and forth kickboxing match between two grapplers. Wasn't that exciting altogether. Competitive striking moments between the two. McGee, threw some decent punches throughout the fight, but Chiesa was sharper than him. Chiesa was a bit cleaner on the feet than him. Neither guy had any grappling success. You can see the takedown attempts, 0 for 6 and 0 for 2. Little clinch control time against the cage from Chiesa. A little bit from McGee, but I'd say better control from Chiesa. Okay, striking in the fight from range, and, he was able to technically kind of outpoint a 40-year-old Court McGee and get himself a win. McGee's never been submitted before. Not shocked that he wasn't submitted here against Chiesa, a former lightweight, with McGee being a former middleweight and longtime, UFC vet. We saw a sloppy kickboxing match, which, you see sometimes with two good grapplers facing off in the cage. They end up striking. especially these like more American style grapplers. I feel like the Brazilians would get each other to the ground and find out. You know, I'm thinking of like Filho and Nascimento, both high level jujitsu, and then, you know, they end up grappling. But in the heavier weight classes, it's different. Or even Rodolfo, Vieira, Petroski. It's not like Petroski's that good in the ground, but you get what I'm saying. Chiesa, win for him. Good win, I guess. Good win, I guess. Let me keep running up the damn card. I don't have much else to say. All right, he outstruck him. It wasn't a great fight. This next fight was just stupid. Paul Craig, Adolfo Bellato. It ends by no contest in the first round, and it was just dumb. So Adolfo Bellato had a moment where he was like blitzing for a bit of ground and pound on Paul Craig from like a standing position. And he gets a knee to the mat as he looks to throw, and Craig throws an up kick out there. Was it a super clean and gnarly up kick? No. The up kick was not like Gegard Mousasi versus Jacare Souza or like Anderson Silva and Yushin Okami back in the day. Not even close to that. The up kick landed a little bit on the chin, a little bit on the chest. It was definitely an illegal strike, and it's a strike that, you know, will potentially cause for a point deduction, right? But to say that that was real, I have a hard time buying it, man. I mean, I can show you this. I just want to go frames here. Like, let me bring this pick up. I have the pick right here. Hold on. Is I can't show the video. The UFC's tricky about that. All right. So I'll just show you this. You see this here? So the foot's landing on the face. The foot's touching the face. Right? The foot touches the face. It touches it. And it kind of moves them backwards a bit. But this was not real. This was completely fake from Adolfo Bellato. He laid down as if he was a dead man. But look before. Look at him looking at the ref. Look at him staring at the ref like, whoa, he illegally kicked me. He illegally kicked me, man. To then, I'm flat out. I'm completely unconscious. And then I'm trying to grapple the ref afterwards. What are we talking about here? Adolfo Bellato deserves a fucking Emmy, all right? This was worse than Aljo's acting after the Yan fight years ago. This was atrocious, and it ended up with him getting a no contest. I think it's because the ref and the officials are like, they got cameras everywhere. Is Bellato think he's fighting in the middle of Brazil in no-name leagues? Cameras are all over the place. This was an attempt from him to get out easy, really, and get a disqualification win against the Paul Craig, who was like actually giving him kind of a hard fight, landing decent body shots. Was on the bottom position, but Bellato not doing anything really from top besides a little ground and pound. Craig landed some jabs. I mean, Paul Craig was winning the first round up until the very end when Bellato got some ground and pound off and ended up in top position. But then for him to bail out on the fight after, I guess illegal up kick, but not a devastating illegal up kick that sent shockwaves through his spine or anything like that. It was pretty embarrassing. Adolfo Bellato was a disgrace here, looking for an easy way out in the fight. Just strange in a fight that he was absolutely in life to win. He tried to take the easy route and get a DQ. I just low IQ move from Bellato because it ends up being a no contest. You could say, oh, well, you know, the kick landed, the brain. Anything is possible, I guess. But realistically, I've been watching fighting for long enough to know that that is not how you react to a strike like that. You normally aren't even dazed from a shot like that from, you know, Paul Craig from bottom position hitting you with an up kick, not a flush up kick perfectly on the chin, not enough to look at the ref. And then you go out and then you're, you know, grappling the ref. You wake up like it seemed to me like it was a ploy, an embarrassing ploy, a really embarrassing ploy. I think Adolfo Bellato lost a lot of respect from fans. I mean, I rated him as a guy that doesn't wilt and, you know, keeps bringing heat until the end. But to then look for the easy route against Paul Craig, I just thought it was really fucking embarrassing. It was unfortunate for sure. Yeah, I guess, we're not going to get this fight rebooked again. So I have no idea what the UFC is going to do with either one of these guys. I mean, Adolfo Bellato is just a fucking weird case. He's like, not really a prospect, but he is kind of a prospect. He really sold hard here. Embarrassingly sold in this fight. And it's like, I don't even know. He's got a draw and a no contest in his last two. I have no fucking idea what you do with him. I have no fucking clue. Like, no fight is jumping out like, that's the one. That's the one. He's with Paul Craig, same thing. I mean, he's still 0-3-1 in his last 4 fights. Both of these guys are just in strange spots. I think that's the best way to say it. In really strange spots after this one. They're not going to rebook it, but I would want to see what would happen if these two fought again in a more fair matchup. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'm curious to see how the matchup would have unfolded. Wouldn't have ended abruptly like this. So, very unfortunate circumstance where both guys kind of find themselves in no man's land. A rebooking would make sense because there was no damage. But with Bellato's acting, like if I'm the UFC, I'm considering letting this guy go. Like, fuck this. We don't need guys who are bailing out on fights. Like, we're looking to have matchups to watch. We're looking to have guys go out there and actually fight. But that's not what we got here. Complete disgrace. Complete disgrace, man. It's like because of Paul Craig's name value, does he get a bigger fight? Does Paul Craig fight somebody close to the top 15 because of that? I don't really think so. I'm looking at the UFC top, caliber guys, and I'm like, I don't know. Paul Craig versus Jimmy Crute Prochnio winner? I have no idea. Thankfully, the UFC does the matchmaking in instances like this. Option one would be, let's just go in a perfect world. We run the rematch back and book it for a third time. But, with Bellato acting, fucking award-winning shit, I have no idea. Terrible instance here, but yes. My consensus is Bellato faked that shit. Next fight on the card. Main card opener. If you guys haven't, hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe. Alonzo Menifield, Oumar Sy. This fight was horrible. This fight was really fucking terrible, actually. Alonzo Menifield wins the first round in a competitive kickboxing match. I think Menifield landed the bigger punches, and Oumar Sy looked kind of clunky on the feet. Come round 2, Sy was pressing Alonzo Menifield up against the cage and really just hunting to get him to the mat. Ends up getting him to the mat. It was just garbage, though, because he didn't do anything with it. He tried to take the back of it, but it was garbage. Controlled the round and beat Menifield in round 2. Then in round 3, kind of just ran away from Menifield for 5 minutes. A really odd display. I don't understand it. I was very confused. Oumar Sy fought horribly. Alonzo Menifield, I mean, won the fight, but he won the fight, but it was like also a lack of Sy doing anything. It was a horrible, horrible fight. And yeah, this was hard to watch, man. This was shit. This was dirt. This was a shit fight. Oumar Sy is a complete fraud, and I'd say just match him up with like Julius Walker at this point. I'd rather just do that. Let's go Julius Walker versus Oumar Sy. Let's find out. Sy loses to Menifield. Walker loses to Menifield. Fucking book them against one another. Julius Walker's booked to fight Rafael Sequeira. Well, maybe if he wins that fight, which I think he's going to, then you match him up against Oumar Sy. How about that? Is that the perfect world that we live in? Boom. Easy matchmaking. Let's find out, is Sy the fraud? I feel like Julius Walker might end up winning that fight. Alonzo Menifield, listen, he's keeping his UFC career alive. He's got 2 wins in a row, 2 competitive-ass decisions, but 2 wins. And he's become a certified outside the top 15 gatekeeper. And I think maybe Modestas Bukauskas calls his name next. Bukauskas coming off the big win over Cutelaba, on a 3-fight winning streak inside the UFC. I don't know if that goes great for Bukauskas, but him and Alonzo Menifield fighting makes a ton of sense. That's a fight I'd want to see. I'm kind of curious how the matchup ends up looking. I feel like Menifield's power is a big factor in that fight, but Bukauskas is talented. He's a skillful fighter. And I don't think Alonzo Menifield wins a ton of points with his past 2 fights. That it's like, time for Menifield to fight Johnny Walker. I don't think so. Time for him to fight Ming Yang Zhang. I don't think so. I say just go Menifield Bukauskas. Save us the fucking headache. This fight sucked. Next fight. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Cody Brundage. This fight sucked too, in a different way though, because it's just a really unfortunate end. So round number 1, Cody Brundage has Mansour Abdul-Malik in a fucking fight. Cody Brundage has Mansour Abdul-Malik getting tested. They go back and forth with shots. They mix it up a bit on the feet. They don't engage in grappling. It's kickboxing. Brundage ripping some heavy kicks. Brundage looking pretty fast with his hands. Brundage looking solid, man. I think I scored the first round for Brundage. If you were in the live stream, if you remember, let me know in the comments. I'm 99% sure. That 1%, though, at 4 a.m. is getting to me. It's 423. That 1% is getting to me. Is it? I think so. Round 2 was slightly Malik. I felt like it was close, but like 1-1 heading into round number 3. I don't remember which way it was. My God. Remember Malik landed that nice front kick up high. Decent shots to the body. Well, the late blitz, they brawled a bit. Round number 2 is when they brawled a bit. I think Malik might have stole that round. He landed some big shots on Cody Brundage, but he ended up getting rocked bad and then tried to wrestle with Brundage, I believe. No, he didn't try to wrestle with him. He tried to clinch him. They didn't count it as a takedown attempt, but he did. He wanted to get it down. Malik got cracked a bit by Brundage. They went after it in a back and forth round number 2. Round number 3, unfortunate head clash into a blitz by Malik. And then, fight is stopped, ground and pound. So I'm thinking, okay, that was definitely a headbutt. And I called it before the commentary. I'm like, does nobody pay attention to anything anymore? I guess not. I'm like, okay. So it's a head clash. Yeah. No contest, right? Well, it's round 3. We're going to score it. The scoring it after 2? I thought it was halfway through the 3rd. Am I crazy? Is that wrong? Is it just you have to get into the 3rd, 30 seconds in, and they score that round? Obviously, that round goes towards Malik for just backing Brundage up and blitzing him because Malik, the only one that did anything that round. So it's like, okay, a round is burnt for Cody Brundage, but then, okay, 1-1 in the last 2. Yeah, you give him the 3rd. I don't know. It felt to me that this fight should have been a no contest. I thought that was confusing, but I guess because it went over the 10-minute mark, they were judging it, and then they would judge the 3rd round, which is just weird because that 3rd round, it's like an auto Malik round because he technically, in the moment got a stoppage. But Brundage put up a good account for himself, man. Brundage definitely showed that, you got to keep him around. You got to respect him. He gave Malik a tough fight. This was no walk in the park. It didn't look like it was definitely going towards Abdul-Malik. I think this fight was just getting heated up, man. And I hate that it got taken from us. I feel bad for Cody Brundage because he's gotten a lot better. Now he gets another loss on his record when I would have had it as a no contest. I felt like this was a no contest. It was competitive up until the end. It was close. It was going either way. Then the head clash is what determines the fight to be stopped. And then Malik wins a technical decision. Of course, Malik is in the UFC's good graces. They're looking to build him. You can't jump him too fast because you throw him Jacob Malhoun, that's a hard fight. You can't move him up that quick. You got to give him another lower level guy because he struggled with Cody Brundage here. You can't push him too quick. He's 9-0 right now. He's a decent prospect. I'd say he's blue chip, but I don't know. Seems deemed for a fraud check at some point. Maybe not his next fight because I think the UFC is going to match him up wisely. He's 27 years old, but to be fair, the age of 27 at middleweight, he does have a lot of time to improve. He could get a lot better. But, is he ready for a fight against Dustin Stoltzfus? Are we sure about that? Is that the direction we're going in? Is he fighting an Oleg Jacek GM3 winner next? I feel like he's going to fight more towards the back end of the UFC middleweight division, more towards the unranked guys. You know, obviously none of those guys I mentioned were top 15, but like, you know, bottom 10. He's going to fight towards the bottom 10 of the middleweight division as opposed to throwing them to some of the fucking lions at the top. I'm looking at UFC middleweight rankings. I want to see who's at the bottom. I'm on Ranking MMA because they do everything. Okay, Antonio Trocoli. That's a good fucking fight for Malik. And then he ends up getting caught in a sub. Robert Valentin. Give him somebody towards the back end. What about Tresean Gore? That's a scary fight because Tresean Gore can crack on the feet, man. Christian Leroy Duncan. That's a hard fight. Edmund Shahbazyan. That's a hard fight. Marco Tulio. Just don't think he's ready for that, man. I think the, guys that are really much farther behind would make sense. Like maybe like a Cedric Dumas fight. Is he still in the UFC or did he get released? I think he's still in the UFC. That fight makes sense. Dumas versus Abdul-Malik. That's a winnable fight. Cody Brundage. I mean, he'll keep a roster spot. I think that's a net positive for him. I have no idea what direction they go with him. Terez Finney, Azamat Bakoyev, loser. Makes sense. That actually makes too much sense. That's perfect. Hey, Cody, you know what? Cody deserves respect, man. Because he got fucked in this fight. He got fucked. Win for Malik. Next fight, Raoni Barcelos, Cody Garbrandt. Listen, say what you want about Cody No Love, but I have to tell you, I respect the first round he put out. The chin held up. Barcelos landed some good knees, some good straights to the head. And Cody Garbrandt didn't wilt. He got cut up too. He didn't stop. Round number one, his hands looked sharp. His boxing looked clean. His takedown defense was on point. 1 out of 11 takedowns for Barcelos, who everybody was thinking was the Brazilian Marab after a win against Peyton Talbot, who just doesn't have great wrestling, doesn't have good wrestling. Cody Garbrandt's hands still look pretty sharp, but he can't put it together like he used to. His timing's not the same. His combinations aren't the same. The mystique is not the same. You know, if you watch Cody No Love back in the day, when he was coming up, it was just sensational. Like the way he could rip shots was crazy. His timing was unreal. That Dominic Cruz fight, bro, if you were a fan at that time, you know what I'm talking about. He was sending fear amongst everybody. He's not that guy anymore. He's not old. He's about to be 34. He's not old. It's just, he's not amongst the elites there. He's not amongst those guys. I mean, I guess if you really look closely, Marcus Brimage, Henry Briones, Augusto Mendez, Thomas Almeida, Takeya Mizugaki, Dom Cruz, and then lost to TJ Dillashaw twice. Pedro Munoz knocked him out. The Assunção KO was sick, but Fonten Cara France fucked him up. Then he beat Trevin Jones, Brian Kelleher recently with a loss to Figgy and now a loss to Barcelos. You know, the early run was sensational, but to be fair, like, you know, he didn't fight anybody that good. The best guy he fought was Mizugaki, and to be fair, you know, Mizugaki had gotten handled pretty bad against Dom Cruz a few fights before then. So, I'm not saying it was a manufactured hype train, but, you know, good matchups and then a good performance against Cruz, and then it kind of just all fell apart. He hasn't been able to put it together well since then. It's been a long time since it's been like, yo, Cody Garbrandt. Since that fight against Assunção when he kind of looked like himself. Still in shape, you know, still can defend takedowns, still can box, still can rip shots, can definitely take a punch, but the timing isn't the same. And Raoni Barcelos is a fucking workhorse. Raoni Barcelos is in great shape, doesn't stop. Wrestling is strong. Even if he's not elite, he threatens with those takedowns a lot. His Muay Thai base is solid. And he was able to outwork Cody Garbrandt and have him going backwards for a fuck ton of the fight. And I have to say, it was the perfect strategy. It was the perfect strategy for him. It was great game plan. It was smart. He called out Rob Font after. Now, Rob Font is inside of the UFC's top 15. I think he's top 10. I don't know about Barcelos getting jumped that far up the ranks, but he is on a 3-fight win streak. And if you remember years ago, it was like, yo, he's the next Jose Aldo. There was so much hype on Barcelos early. And then it kind of died down, you know. There was a handful of losses. Valley of Henry, Oumar, but the Oumar loss is Oumar. It doesn't matter. Kyler Phillips, like he didn't look great. And then he beat Quinones, he beat Talbot, and now he beats Cody Garbrandt. It's definitely step up in competition. It's definitely like name value fights. Like I'm down with a fight between him and Daniel Marcos next. Marcos coming off a loss, obviously, but that's still a good matchup. I don't think they'd book him versus Ricky Simón, but that wouldn't be crazy. Like he's now earning that respect to, fight for a chance into the rankings. I doubt they jump him up to Rob Font, but maybe beating Cody Garbrandt, big enough name that he ends up getting a fight like that. But I'll say no, I wouldn't. I'd rather see him versus somebody else. I want to see the Simón and Jourdain fight rebooked, but let's say that doesn't happen. Barcelos Simón wouldn't be surprising. With Barcelos on 3-fight win streak, Simón on 2-fight win streak. Now for Cody No Love, man, I mean, he's getting pushed down, bro. It's like he's in a weird spot where it's like retirement's not crazy, but wouldn't you love to see Davy Grant versus Cody Garbrandt? Wouldn't we all love to see it? That's the perfect fight. Like, why are we overthinking it? Just make Davy Grant and Cody No Love. And I think that could be a fireworks striking match. I think Davy Grant would have a chance to win for sure. I like that matchup a lot. Cody Garbrandt versus Davy Grant would be the fight that I root for. And I hope that the UFC decides to put it together. Let's keep running. Good performance for Honey. Dominant. Lost the first, but second and third on point. Shahbazyan looks sensational here. Shahbazyan round one had Petroski uncomfortable, cracked and hurt with big shots and, evading his attack. Takedown defense for Shahbazyan was pretty good. He stopped, 4 out of the 6. Only 2 takedowns for Petroski and no damage and control either as Shahbazyan bursted back up to his feet. He looked sharp from mid and long range. He was ripping Petroski with big shots late in the fight. Chopped him down with kicks to the body, but really they were hitting the arm of Petroski. Seemed like Petroski's arm had broken, and then Shahbazyan had that big blitzing moment where he was on top of Petroski throwing ground and pound. But I will say, respect to Andre Petroski finding a way to survive. And on the flip side, props for Edmund Shahbazyan not going too ballistic for the KO and gassing himself out like he did against Gerald Mearshart. It was like a small sign of the evolution of Edmund Shahbazyan, who's now at Extreme Couture, and I definitely think it's a much better team for him. He's a young guy at 27 years of age, so I think that the sky is still kind of the limit with somebody like him. I'm not saying that he's going to break into the top 15. I don't think he is. I'm not saying that he's a future contender. But fun knockouts are definitely live to be on the way. There's more fights that we're going to see from him. And I honestly think if Shara Bullet gets through Marc-Andre Barriault, how cool would a matchup between Shahbazyan and Shara Bullet be? Battle of kickboxers. That's a fun stylistic matchup. We saw Shara Bullet beat another Armenian kickboxer in Petrosian. He knocked him out violently. And I think Shahbazyan and Shara Bullet, if Shara handles Barriault. On the flip side, if Barriault wins, I like Shahbazyan versus Barriault. Both of those options are sensational fights. Both of those options get me excited. And I think there's fun matchups for a kickboxer like Edmund Shahbazyan for sure. Could go a Cesar Almeida route even. Now, for Andre Petroski, I don't know. I mean, first name that came to my mind was Dustin Stoltzfus. He's been trading wins and losses for a while. But that's still a difficult matchup. Stoltzfus is a top 30 guy in the world. But it's like, how far down the ranks does Petroski get pushed because of this loss? I mean, Shahbazyan's always been a very tactical kickboxer. He's sharp as a fucking blade. Petroski versus Brad Tavares, maybe? Not a wild idea. I'm going matchmaker mode on you. Listen, Shahbazyan from distance, on point. Shahbazyan striking, accurate. And you know what? Respect the performance. Petroski did hit him with some good hooks. And he was sitting in the pocket a bit and like making it a competitive fight come round 2. And I was impressed with Petroski's hands, but his wrestling was not there, not a factor. Couldn't do shit with it. Shahbazyan's takedown defense way too good, and Petroski got bodied, man. The Philly win streak comes to an end with Petroski taking a fat L against Edmund Shahbazyan. Co-main event. Thug Rose. Miranda Maverick. First round, good back and forth. Maverick was tough. She was strong. Rose was testy. Rose landed some good shots, slicker punches, but Maverick was definitely in the fight, backing Rose up a bit, looking strong, bringing pressure to her, having a couple of moments of her own. I respected Miranda Maverick's offense, but Rose was definitely the sharper blade of the two, even in round one. I scored that first round for Rose. Round number two, things got testy because Rose was looking really good, dominating with good control, even nearly getting a rear naked choke, but ultimately getting reversed. And then Miranda Maverick locking in a deep arm triangle attempt that had Rose Namajunas look very uncomfortable, attacking her with a bit of ground and pound and having her back late. I thought that second round was one of those toss up rounds where Maverick might have done enough to steal it. Come round number three, Rose Namajunas drops Miranda Maverick with a very sharp left hook, gets in top position, able to control from top position, and a little bit of striking late, but ultimately, like Rose Namajunas did a great job of winning that third round with the massive moment and a shitload of control time on Miranda Maverick, truly showing her like, okay, I still got this. I'm still here. There was, scramble that got me nervous a bit, but then Rose still was able to fight to top and then, get up and the striking. Rose Namajunas is in it. I mean, Maverick was tough, relentless pressure per usual, in very good shape and doesn't give up on herself. But Rose was just way sharper and she gave her that veteran lesson that I think she needed. Now, I'm going to say this easy fight to book. Let's not fucking even think anything else. Alexa Grasso, Rose Namajunas, they've been tailing each other for years. Same weight classes for years, but they've never fought one another. Both are former world champions. I think that's a must-make fight. You have to do a 5-round fight between Alexa Grasso and Rose Namajunas. Either later this year or early next year, whenever they're ready to come back, I vote yes. I vote yes, please. Book that fight, UFC. That's the matchup that I want. That's a matchup that I feel like I've wanted for a while. I mentioned it even after Alexa Grasso's last fight. And now Rose passing the Miranda Maverick test, I think it only makes sense that you'd match her up against, an accomplished former champion as she just took on the prospect looking to jump the line. And she sent that prospect back. I think now you give her a legacy fight because Alexa Grasso is definitely a legacy fight. Regardless of what happened with Natalia Silva would beat Rose Namajunas up. Just to keep it real with you, Natalia Silva is a monster. Rose Namajunas, you have to respect being 3-4 in her last 5. Lost to Erin Blanchfield and Manon Fiorot at 125. Legendary resume. Gives Maverick the veteran lesson here. And Miranda Maverick had a nice 4-fight win streak. And she got tuned up. Man. It's easy, no-brainer, Rose versus Alexa Grasso. Doesn't even cause much of a thought. Now, for Miranda Maverick, she gets sent down the ranks a bit. She could fight somebody like, a Tracy Cortez, Viviane Araujo, loser. She could fight somebody like J.J. Aldridge, Corinne Silva, loser, something along those lines. I still think big fights for Maverick. Maverick's still amongst the better portion of the UFC women's flyweights. She's definitely top 15. She's just not top 5. And I felt that coming in, and I'm glad that it was proven here. Good win for Thug Rose. Let's keep running. Main event of the evening. This was vintage Kamaru Usman giving Joaquin Buckley a real veteran lesson. This is vintage Usman giving Buckley the truest form of a veteran lesson, because that's exactly what it was. Kamaru Usman was able to land takedowns 4 out of the 5 rounds, 1-4. Garner significant control time, work a bit of pepper and ground and pound, and essentially completely smother and overwhelm Joaquin Buckley with an unrelenting? Yeah, an unrelenting wrestling attack. It was relentless. He wouldn't stop. And the control was insane. Buckley had nothing from bottom position that freaked me out. I thought Buckley would be better from bottom position. He really had nothing. Like when he was on his back, he was fucking dead fish. He was just dead weight. And Usman locking in top position, Buckley not able to do shit from bottom. Usman busted Buckley up, cutting him in the first round, and then just continuing to add to those stats with, embracing the grind, embracing the smother, and is outworking him on the mat, beating him up with pepper and shots. There was nothing major, no near fight ending sequences. I mean, Buckley was tough. Usman, at one point gets the mount position, but still Buckley survives. He would get mounted right at the end of the round. But Usman dogged him. I mean, Buckley landed a couple of punches later in the fight, come round 4. I was surprised there was a 48-47. I thought that was a clear as day, 49-46. But let's just sing the praises of Buckley in round 5 because his takedown defense was crazy in that 5th and final round. And he landed some big shots on Kamaru Usman. He was throwing power hooks. He was throwing shovel uppercuts. He was digging deep on his punches. And he was trying, but ultimately, Usman was still there on the feet. He'd catch him with a jab and a nice straight, good body kicks. It's not like Kamaru Usman had nothing for Buckley on the feet. Of course, in a kickboxing fight, I'd favor Buckley all day. But with that threat of takedown, with Usman's insane durability and just overall menacing frame that looked to be full-fledged UFC middleweight size, it was too much for Buckley over the first 20 minutes. And Buckley's good shots come round number 5 weren't enough to sway the fight. There's a 10-point must system round per round. It's not going to win him the fight. And even if there wasn't, still Usman controlled a significant portion of this fight besides the 5th round. Buckley's hands look sharp late, though. I wish he could have blitzed Usman a little heavier early come round number 5 because I think, it got a little too late at the end. And he was still cracking Usman with shots up until the final bell in a back and forth. Usman's still throwing back. I'm not saying that Usman was sitting there just like a heavy bag. But there was so much control through rounds 1 through 4 that Buckley, what could he do? I mean, his gas tank looked good. Ultimately, the fumble is on Buckley. I know a lot of people are really shitting on Usman's performance, but Buckley was unable to get back up to his feet. Buckley couldn't stop a vast majority of the takedowns. Granted, you're looking on paper 4 out of 13, but round 1 through 4, I mean, he was getting him down and he was just beating him up. There was 12 minutes and 57 seconds, pure control time. On the feet, Usman didn't look bad either. He caught Buckley with some good punches. Nice straight at one point. This was vintage Usman. Dogging an explosive prospect who definitely has a shitload of promise right now. Interesting how Buckley has more pro fights than the legendary Kamaru Usman, too, even though he's a lot younger. Usman takes 4 out of the 5 rounds. He's back. He's back in the mix for sure. Beating Buckley's impressive. Let's not flack Buck. Oh, well, this, that. No, beating Buckley's impressive in the fashion that he did. The path of least resistance. He said the knockouts will come. He said that, he essentially said he was getting rust off. He said he's got to get the monkey off his back. What he was saying is he's got to get his rust off, his ring rust. And then he said knockouts will come. After this fight, he's already looking ahead. He's saying title fight. The winner of Jack Della versus Islam, if they are to fight, which I believe they will. I think Usman could definitely fight the winner. I know people say, oh, but what about Shavkat? I don't know when Shavkat's coming back. I think Shavkat versus Sean Brady is still a big fight. And I think Buckley versus Ian Gary is still a big fight, regardless of this outcome. I do think Kamaru Usman's legacy kind of lets him jump in that title picture without a clear-cut number 1 contender. You can't tell me Shavkat's definitely the top contender. You can't tell me it's definitely Sean Brady. It's definitely not Ian Gary. It's definitely not Belal for a rematch. Of course, Usman-Belal is a fight that people would like to see. Let's find out about the beef. And Usman, he said, I don't know who that is. I don't know his name. Who's that? As soon as Belal was brought up. He doesn't even want to give Belal a platform. He's calling for the belt. He said what he wants. He said he wants to win the title, and then his goal would be to jump up and wait and fight for the belt. Interesting, right? Because would it be a Hamzat rematch if he was able to do it? If Usman is able to win the belt back, I mean, bro, he's putting himself in a welterweight GOAT status with that. He's able to win the belt back, and then he goes up in weight, regardless of what happens. Like, he's putting himself in that true GOAT status of the welterweight division. What's crazy is when you think about it, it's not that far-fetched from reality to envision Kamaru Usman winning the belt if he's able to out-wrestle a Jack Della. Like, how would him and Islam go? He'd be a lot bigger. I think Islam would be faster, but he wouldn't have the power that Buckley has. And we saw Usman eat some big shots from Buckley. The grappling defense would definitely be better, but Usman would probably have more dangerous punches. And then in a fight against Jack Della, I mean, Jack Della's get-up game is a lot better than Joaquin Buckley's. To be fair, though, Usman's control, I'd argue, is better than Bilal's. Would I argue it till I'm blue in the face? Maybe not, but I do think it is better. We're in an interesting predicament. If it wasn't Kamaru Usman, like, oh, dude, do the Bilal fight. But because of what Usman has done in the sport, I could see him getting that Dana White privilege jump to the belt. And I don't think it's that crazy because he did them that huge favor with Khamzat Chimaev. It's like them kind of getting good on that without having a clear-cut number one contender. If there definitely was a clear-cut number one contender that wasn't, Islam moving up in weight and then he'd fight the winner, then I think we're in a different conversation. I know Wonderboy said, oh, he's 1 to 2 fights away from a title fight. I think he might get one next time. And when Usman fights, it does feel like a big deal. He still has the championship aura. I mean, he was a dominant champion. I don't think it's crazy at all if the UFC decided, especially with him admitting that he'd be open to fighting Islam Makhachev. If Islam gets the belt, Usman versus Islam seems like a massive fight. And it doesn't seem like the UFC would pass that up to instead do a Sean Brady fight for the belt or force Usman into a Bilal fight. I think we're in a pretty realistic world that has a Kamaru Usman title fight in his next matchup, especially like if he's willing to wait. That division's got to kind of sort itself out. But then things get testy because how long is he going to wait? When's the fight between Islam and Jack Della? Because we don't have a date yet. There's a lot of what ifs and maybes. But I definitely think Usman is close to the title. If it's not a title shot, settling the beef with Bilal would be pretty badass. And Bilal's not going to get bullied on the mat like Buckley. Bilal's not going to have the power of a Buckley either, so it'd be interesting to see how that striking match plays out if they do face off. Nonetheless, say what you want about the performance. People are saying it was boring, it was this, it was that. It was fucking effective. And they ended up getting fight of the night, too. I'll say thanks to Buckley looking to put on big shots strong on Kamaru Usman and not quitting on himself come round 5. Because Usman, for the most part, was just control. Granted, he landed some shots, but fight of the night shots, no, it was Buckley. Usman demands respect. The performance was tactical, and he did what he needed to do to win the fight. Joaquin Buckley was explosive and powerful late, but he just couldn't find his range. He couldn't stop the fucking takedown. Rounds 1 through 4. And that's what cost him this damn fight. That was the UFC Atlanta main event. I want to recap the pick. So, in the main event, me and everybody had Buckley, so we lost. Co-main event, confidently Thug Rose by decision. W. Had Edmund Shahbazyan or Petroski. W. Thought Garbrandt had a chance with Barcelos. L. Had Mansour Abdul-Malik over Brundage and the over in that fight, plus money as well. W. Had Sy over Menifield, as everybody did. L. Had Bellato, no contest. Had Chiesa, W. Had Wellmaker KO as a confident pick, W. Had Ochoa over Durden, W. Had Simón over Smotherman, of course, W. Had the Savage Doglock Phil Rowe over Loosa, W. Had Horth over Demop, W. So overall, 9 wins, 3 losses. What was I, 6 and 1 no contest on the prelims? And then what? Loss here, win. Loss here, win. Win. Loss here. So 1 win, 2 win, 3 win on the main card. 3 out of 6 on the main. Yeah. 9-3, 1 no contest overall picks for the card. But I do want to look at the parlays, and there's some definitely to celebrate. So, of course, some of these, they got to push through with the Bellato fight not even coming through fruition. And, still, though, look at that. Wellmaker, Ochoa, Ricky Simón, Smotherman's over 2.5 in Rowe, plus 936. Savage play comes to fruition. Came to fruition twice because that Bellato KO didn't unfortunately happen. And then, looking down, you still had the sneaky Savage at plus 591, which came through the doggy style. I promised you guys it would hit this week. It comes to fruition. Safe but boring. Of course, it just becomes Simón's money line. Simón Wellmaker KO, safe but still boring at minus 151 hits. Bellato, Simón, Wellmaker KO is just Simón and Wellmaker KO. Ran through again, minus 151. That hits. Simón, Namajunas, and the over 2.5, and Horth Demop seems safe. Slight plus money, plus 116 comes to fruition. Simón, Smotherman, over 2.5, and Bellato, again, becomes just a Simón and Smotherman over 2.5, but still comes to fruition. W. And then Rowe, Wellmaker KO, boom, that comes to fruition. It's another doggy style one. So the parlay's on point. Some pushed with, the void of the KO prop for Bellato, but altogether are lots of Savage winners. And seeing the plus 936 Savage play hit during the live stream, I said, we're living lavishly now. We're living lavishly now. And I feel like an absolute certified savage at nearly 5 in the morning. It's 4:52. Listen, guys, I want to get some sleep. Hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to the show. W's to the people. Drop a W in the comments if you got nothing to say, but definitely let me know what you thought of the card. It started off incredibly strong, and I thought that we might get, an all-time great fight night. It felt special. It finished out decent. I mean, it was still a decent card. I'd say it was still good. Not going to shit on it completely, but the big three, I mean, Usman Buckley, I genuinely enjoyed because obviously it's a big name in Usman and a big name in Buckley. Thug Rose looking pretty sharp was nice to see against the Maverick. I'm happy she beat her. Shahbazyan and Petroski was all right. Garbrandt, Barcelos was a good back and forth fight. I'd say it was a good card. I think I'm being a hater if I'm not. Nah, it was a good card. Solid. Unfortunate with Malik, Brundage. Sy and Menifield was absolutely atrocious, but I'm not going to let those fights, absolutely shit on the taste of the entire card. It was a good one with some badass early prelims. So thank you, UFC, for bringing some heat. That's it from me, guys. I'll have picks out for this UFC Baku card later on. Much love to the people. W to the community. Smash the like, subscribe, share. I'm getting off of here. All right. Good night, everybody. Peace out.